Must-haves for a personal, amazing ski day. I mean, it's friends, good snow, sunshine, blue skies, fresh snow. I think those are all the essentials. I'm Eddie Bauer, community leader Roy Tuscany.
And I'm Eddie Bauer, ski athlete Trevor Kennison.
And these are some of your most asked questions about adaptive skiing.
What is adaptive skiing?
Adaptive skiing is skiing for individuals with disabilities. Some individuals will use different types of equipment, and some individuals you might not even recognize have the disability actually on the hill. Some of the ones that you would see with specialized equipment could be a monoskier like Trevor Kennison. You could also see a bi-skier, which is an individual that has two skis underneath them, articulating, and sometimes is assisted by a guide. You could also see a 4-tracker and a 3-tracker. 4-tracker, like myself, is an individual that uses poles specialized with skis on the end of them. And then there's also blind skiers, and there's also deaf skiers, and individuals that have upper arm disabilities, and then some that you might not even recognize. So all of those are a lot of the different forms of adaptive skiing. What kind of equipment do I need for adaptive skiing?
I use a sit ski, and I use a single ski with a race plate and a binding on it. And I clip in just like a normal ski binding. Then I have outriggers, and they're on the bottom. There's like little foot-long skis on the bottom of both sides. So that way it helps me balance and ski and stand up. Blind skiers have walkie-talkies or microphones in their ears, and basically a microphone, correct, Roy, that goes straight to your mouth. The guide is in front, basically telling them, hey, there's, this bump in front of you, or, they'll have their like signals and commands that they come up with. For tracking, you have ski boots, pair of skis, you click straight into the binding, and then you have these outriggers that it helps stand and balance and ski. And then you pull these strings and it flips down, and you have these little skis attached to the end of the outriggers. If you're 3-tracking, you're missing a limb. You're doing the exact same thing as 4-tracking, but you're only into one ski. You still have your outriggers with little skis at the bottom. If you're missing like an upper limb, you're still wearing ski boots, you're still clicking in the skis, and you might not, basically if you're missing one limb, you might only carry one pole. I don't tend to see more than, people carry 2 poles if they're missing a limb or anything. Right, Roy?
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. One of the things I wanted to ask Trev is anything special that you do your binding when you have your mono ski clicked into it?
Yeah. So for my sit ski, I put a race plate down straight on the ski, and it gets screwed in. And then I put a race binding. So it's 24 din, put it right on the plate to give it more durability and strength and flexibility. And then once I click the binding in, I have this block. Actually, it's right here. I have this block, which goes like this, put in the back of the binding. And then basically this pin goes straight through this way, and it locks you. And that way you don't eject from the ski. And that's super important for sit skiing. You want to stay in your ski so you don't ragdoll. It's the opposite with people that are able-bodied stand-up skiers. You want to release from a ski so you don't tear a knee. Roy, what are outriggers, and when were they first created?
Outriggers are adaptive ski poles for individuals that can be used from a seated or standing position to provide balance and give the individual the opportunity to turn and also stop. They are elongated poles that have handles on them and kind of cuffs that your arms go into. The handles are usually fitted or at least have some type of cushion or padding on them. And then at the end of them have a retractable system of a small little ski. I use them for 4-tracking. Trevi uses outriggers for sit skiing. And they actually were invented back in the early 50s, 60s, I believe. They were invented by an Austrian who got cancer and had to have his leg amputated. No, he lost his leg in a motorcycle accident, I believe, actually. How many ways are there to ski adaptively?
I would say sit skiing, bi-skiing, 3-tracking, 4-tracking, upper body missing limbs. There are blind skiers, deaf skiers. There is a sip and puff.
That's that new ski that's going around from Tessia. That's a pretty amazing thing where an individual can control the ski by sip and puff, or has a joystick, or has a bar that allows you to push and stop. I would actually say, Trevi, that I think to truly say how many different ways are there to adaptively ski? Well, every disability is a little bit different. So I think there's an infinity actually way to adaptive ski, is everybody's going to have a little bit different. Even a mono skier like yourself, every mono skier doesn't fit into the same mono ski.
There are infinite ways, because when you are adaptive skiing, right, there are many ways, everyone's different. But like in general, when you're able-bodied skiing, you still have to adapt. You have to put on ski boots, you have to put on skis, you have to wear poles. You're still adapting and using equipment. You can't just go out there and ski on your feet. Even able-bodied people, they have to adjust their boots and all this stuff. And, with a disability, you have to do that, just a little bit more. So
what's a good way to get into adaptive skiing? Specifically sit skiing. I'm a new paraplegic.
When you're first get injured and you're first trying to learn how to sit skiing, for what I did, I recommend, I signed up for an adaptive program. I went for a half day and I had an instructor. They fit you in these sit skis, and ended up going on the bunny hill, and he was behind me, like holding on to a tether. So it's like a rope that attaches to your sit ski, contacting an adaptive program and telling them your injury, telling your situation, explaining what you want to do, and, showing your face and showing up and getting it done.
I think you said the best thing there, showing up. And, from there, you actually went on to do a bunch with therapeutic rec from Craig Hospital. And that's where you really started to take off on your skiing, right? Like that's where you jumped for the first time, I think.
Exactly. Showing up is step one. What are the best ways to train as an adaptive skier?
Train like an able-bodied skier, I think is the best answer. Trevor and I were both lucky to go through some amazing training at the Adaptive Training Foundation in Dallas, Texas. 9-week program. And then they also have 2-week hyper programs. I really encourage something like that, where you're in a community that understands, that's trained specifically for sport. What are some tips for loading the chairlift?
I recommend when you're first starting out, or just in general, I would ask for the lifty every single time, hey, can I get a slow? They'll slow it for you. And then that way, you push up to the red line and you get yourself ready. And there's 2 different ways to do it. You can line yourself up in the middle, and, you have your outriggers in the pick position. And so you can lift yourself up. But basically kind of turning yourself, you have the clock. So kind of hitting 11 o'clock. So you can look over your left shoulder. If you're comfortable with the right side, look over 1 o'clock and then look over your right shoulder. And basically you kind of time it when it comes through to that blue line. And then you go 1, 2, 3 and just push up like a dip. And then you kind of slot yourself onto the chairlift. For what I did, I used to do that in the beginning. And for what I do now, I don't get a slow, but you can ask for a slow. I kind of turn myself, 45 degrees facing, left shoulder. And I'm all the way to the left. And I take my left hand and I place it straight on the armrest, basically where the chairlift is. So I grab the chairlift and I have my right outrigger and I push it on the ground. I grab the chairlift and I do 1, 2, 3. Basically all at once. And then I slot my, sit ski straight onto the chairlift. And that's how I get on it.
One thing I've always noticed with you, Trevi, is you now said it, you like to be on the outside. Does it matter as a sit skier as you progress? Some people prefer to be on the inside of what's called a bull wheel, or as the chair comes closest to the turnstile of the lift, or do people prefer to be on the outside? What does that happen?
I started in the middle and I would do the 2 push system. But, as I progressed, grabbing the chairlift and then pushing with my right outrigger, easy. And the other day I did load on the right side and I was like, can I get a slow? I'm loading on the right side, so I was like, I had grabbed and pushed up, but I was like, wow, this feels weird, and I got on, but still it's just different. So, so that's how I get it on.
Is heli-skiing possible?
Yes, heli-skiing is possible for all disabilities.
It's really up to the guides and the people you go with. Trevor just went on a trip with Eddie Bauer athlete Casey Dean and Level 1 Productions, and actually High Five sent a quadriplegic assisted bi-skier to the Chugach with Points North Heli back in the day as well. It really comes down to contacting and making sure that the heli operation knows. And most of the time, as I believe Scott even said to you, this was, this re-energized him to take you out there and have a new perspective to guiding and really honing in on safety because of the thought process that someone always had to be behind you to make sure that if anything ever happened to you, they could get to you in an effective amount of time.
Roy, what are some personal must-haves for an excellent ski day?
Oh man, must-haves for a personal amazing ski day. I mean, it's friends, good snow, sunshine, blue skies, fresh snow. I think those are all the essentials, and it doesn't matter who you are. Those are like check the box. Maybe some hot cocoa in the lodge too. Some hot cocoa, that's always good. And then a good parking spot. We're one of the benefits.
Having that audience, like your friends with you, that definitely helps so much. I would say just like a bunch of snow, like 2-3 feet of snow.
I actually like 4 inches because of my forward tracking ability, but a 4-inch powder day is amazing. I'll take it. Everyone's oh, it's only 4. I'll take it. No.
But 4 inches on a groomer.
Yeah. It's got to be on a groomer too. Thank you, Trevor. Thank you for clarifying that. Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's just blower snow though. You're just like, oh.
I've never skied before my spinal cord injury. Is that a non-starter or a reason not to try?
I never skied a day in my life, never put on ski boots a day in my life. So no, it's not you can't ski or not sit ski because you've never done it. Highly recommend trying it. It's nice because like I said, never skied. So kind of having that fresh start of oh no, this is how it's supposed to go, or this is what, it's supposed to be like. But so having that open mind of just all right, this is how it's supposed to be.
Where is the best place to ski adaptively?
You can ski anywhere adaptively. So, heli-skiing, obviously. But honestly, I would have to say one of the best places to go ski adaptively is my home resort, Winter Park Resort. Parking's easy. They have this program, National Sports Center for the Disabled, and they have a huge program there. So I would say Winter Park Resort.
I would say my go-to place, because it's super easy. I went there yesterday. Palisades, Tahoe. I can park right there, get on snow and go. And it is the biggest mountain, and it's just an exploring mountain to go. But also Lee Canyon in Las Vegas, because no one really knows about it.
What are the biggest challenges of adaptive skiing?
I think the biggest challenges with adaptive skiing is just getting comfortable with your equipment. It's also just hard to get back into it and understand that there's going to be a learning curve again. And I think that's one of the biggest takeaways is being comfortable with the learning curve and allowing that process to happen and realizing that just like you had to learn to ski or snowboard, or maybe you never skied or snowboard, but you learned how to do something before, you got to take that same process into the idea of any type of adaptive sport when you get back into it. It's a learning process. Sit ski backflips. How?
Sit ski backflips, a lot of commitment. I'll leave it at that. It's just a lot of commitment. That's all I have to say.
Are there any support groups or communities to support adaptive athletes?
Yes. High Fives Foundation is one of them. Another, foundation I went to is Adaptive Training Foundation to go train as well. But yeah, like I said, there's multiple out in the country. You just have to, type it in and kind of just seeing what you're liking or what you're trying to do. Is downhill skiing the only option for adaptive skiers?
No, I mean, there's tons of options. You could try the path of Trevor Kennison. You don't have to go racing. You can start racing and then go on this free skiing. You could also go Nordic skiing. There's adaptive Nordic skiing that's out there. There's a lot of options out there. And I think the coolest thing is that the community continues to grow. And as it grows, you really get to see all the different forms and the creative ways that people are using skiing as a form of not only returning to sport, but also for recovery.
100%. And real quick, I mean, I know you said Nordic skiing, but don't they have the Nordic skiing and then that competition where you go shoot stuff too, and then you push again, right?
Biathlon.
There you go. So that's another sport. So
can you adjust your leg position in a sit ski?
Yes, you can adjust your leg position in a sit ski. What's the cost to get into adaptive skiing?
That's a a barrier to entry for sure is cost. The equipment, because there's just not as many sit skiers as there are able body skiers, there's just a high cost for them. So, a sit ski is going to cost you, a brand new one, a high-end rig is going to cost you over $8,000. The binding, specifically to the ones that Trevor talks about, are, over $1,000. Outriggers are about $500. And that's just your sit ski, your binding, and your outriggers. Then you got to be warm. Luckily, Eddie Bauer has created the first ever specific adaptive outerwear kit that Trevor Kennison was a part of. Then you got to get helmet, goggle, all those things, lessons. I mean, unfortunately, the cost is going to be over $15,000. But High Fives, Kelly Brush Foundation, Challenge Athletes Foundation, and other programs across America that give grants to help ease the cost of this. Where can people in Canada learn to adaptive ski?
I believe there's many resorts in Canada. I believe Revelstoke is one of them. Panorama, BC is one of them. I believe Whistler is another one out on the coast. I think there's some on the East Coast as well.
Rocky Mountain is a really great one. There's also one at Silver Star. There's one at Whistler. I'd contact Landon is what I would do. Kind of what I do with a lot of things that are Canada. Yeah. I'd contact Landon.
Yeah, Landon McGully. He'll tell you what's up in Canada.
He'll tell you exactly where to go. What are some future goals?
I don't know. From when I first started and met Roy, it was really cool to, I get the support and have that family. He's helped so many individuals. And, I just remember I admired him, being able to do that. And I was always like, how can I help, or how can I do that? I want to be like Roy. There will never be anyone like Roy. I'm raising money for Roy. And, I remember 5 years ago, I was like, Roy, I'm going to give you a big check, because he has a bunch of checks on his wall. It's like, he's left such an imprint on me. So how can I, by what I'm doing, skiing, biking, and doing me, how can I just continue to give back and just keep getting awareness through High Fives? And what would you say to that, Roy?
I say that you're amazing, and I appreciate you. And I'm really excited for more things where we get to experience, like we did in Aspen, seeing you do some first amazing ever accomplished things in front of the world. And so I hope there's more moments like that. Those are some really cool goals. So that's what I'm excited for.
I love that, man.
Those were some of your most asked questions about adaptive skiing.
Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos like this.
And send us your questions about what you're curious about in the outdoors.